Hey there, everybody. It's Jane from Surface Anthology and Chalk Mercantile. And I have a really fun project today. I'm getting the link. Those are my dogs, Willow and Henry. My mailman is here picking up all your orders, people who order from me. My shop, by the way, is chalkmercantile.com. And I schedule my pickup so I don't have to drive the packages down. So those will be delivered soon. All right, there's my link. And there we go. And off it goes, just like those packages, right? So this is one of my absolute favorite transfers. This is Iron Orchid Designs, of course, and it's the Brocante Transfer. And I wish I was French when I was saying that, when I'm saying it. But it is 8 sheets, 8 really, hey Joni, yo, yo. Do you guys know Joni from Weathered Wings? Oh, Joni, it's good to see you. I'm using a transfer, Joni. I haven't used a transfer in a really long time, I think during a live. But this is one of my favorite ones. I still haven't found the right project for, I think this is Marie Antoinette. What do you think, Joni? But I need something really special. And I might be doing a miniature, what are they called? How do you pronounce that? Those little fancy French mirrors that have like an image and lots of molding. So I might Trumio. How do we say that, Joni? You love this one too, right? It is. It's beautiful. But it is a lot of stuff, you guys. It's 8 pages. There she is. She's so fabulous. So I'm not going to be using that one today. But all of them are beautiful, right? Hey, Shannon. Good morning. Her sunshine and flowers. Shannon, thanks for joining me today. So let me tell you what I did. I bought these little frames at Goodwill, right? The one that I dragged my son Christopher to. They were $3 each. They're just these little pine, unfinished frames. And you use this dowel right here in the back. You put that in and they could stand up. Joni is saying she put her Marie Antoinette, into an iFlex frame. Joni sells iFlex, and I've known about iFlex for a long time, Joni. They sent me samples. I just never brought it in. And then watching your tutorial the other day with that tray was amazing. And it's really reasonably priced. So I've got to put her in something. I've got to put her on something beautiful. So maybe I will. Maybe I'll get that from you, Joni. So I'm starting today with a very humble little pine frame. Again, I got it at Goodwill. I painted it with 2 coats of mud paint, and they're simply white. And let me show you, when I tell you guys to test, this is how I test. I really do test, because I can't remember how the mud paint was with the IOD transfers, and it was beautiful. I transferred this little bee right on the back here, and that's why you should always save your scraps, because you can use them for testing, right? And this is just a pretty little bee. Put it right down on the mud paint, and it attached really well. Sometimes what people do when it doesn't attach, and Joni, I know you use DIY paint. I think they're very similar paints. They're clay, but they'll put a matte top coat, I believe, a varnish, wait for that to dry, and then put the transfer. Hey, Sandy, thanks for joining us. Good morning. So I tested it without any top coat. I've never used a top coat, and it worked really well. What I do then, when I'm designing like a little tiny piece like this, I just lift these pages, and you have to be careful, and I just kind of move the frame around underneath, right? Like I could do a corner of a clock on it here, but that gives me an idea of what it's going to look like. And I'll show you. There's so many. Oh, there's one I completely used. Get rid of that. But look at these. Oh, they're so beautiful. But if you just take your project, and again, very carefully, do not press down, but you can kind of move these around on your project, or move the project around and see how it looks before you commit. And I like that. Look at this. I could do a whole clock. And of course, Joni, you made some really beautiful projects with the little birds. And I actually, I think the last tutorial I did with a transfer was these birds on top of a painted surface. Yeah, the clock around the corner. Isn't that pretty? I just love that, you know? You don't need to use the entire image or try to fit an entire image onto a piece. All right. What I chose is this. So I'm going to roll this back. I just love these white roses. I love roses. I lived out. Hey, Debbie, don't you love those little birds? They're so sweet, the little gang of birds. When I lived out in California, we lived in Marin County, and it seemed to have the best climate for roses. Everywhere you went, there would be these amazing roses. So I love roses. I can't grow them in Connecticut. I can't grow a lot. I don't have a green thumb. My husband does. So using them like this is really special. So what I did, I'm going to move this onto, no, I'm not going to move it onto a dark surface. All right. I'm moving this around. Look at how beautiful those are. And I'm fitting this on here, right? As much as I could. You could move it all around, right? You see what you can do. There are these really pretty blue flowers. I could do those going up the side. Look at this moth down at the bottom. But what I like is this. So you see how there's this grid here, right? Grid up, right, Joni? Always up. The grid has to be up. Joni and I know that working with the paint inlays. So I cut a little line here just for a guide, and then one right up at the top. And I did this earlier, obviously. And now what I'm going to do is you have to lay it back down on this plastic sheet. And I'm going to rip that off, and I'm going to cut this design out that I want to use with this backing always attached, right? And let's see here. So I'm going to cut over. I might just go around that leaf. Maybe I can kind of roll it around the edge of the frame. And I'm going to also cut the same time down this way. And I'm avoiding this other flower because I know I'm going to want to use that. Let's see. To go back. Joni, you're really good at this. You always have these beautiful projects that you make with all your scraps. All right. And you never, even the smallest little tiny leaf like this, don't throw it away because you could use it if you're building like a design with flowers and leaves. You can put, emboss that in, rub that in. Debbie said, I never would have thought of putting it on that way. See, That's why I love watching people work. Because everybody thinks so uniquely, you know, and I'm like, oh, I never thought of doing that. And I just love it. I love that. All right. So I'm going to test it with the plastic. Oh, I know what I wanted to do. So you see how there's this gorgeous little rosebud up here? It's not going to fit. And I'll show you. So this is not going to fit. So I'm going to actually cut that out and then maybe put that on after I do this one. So we take this. Grab my scissors and cut this beautiful little rosebud out. Just like that. And we'll save that. Now let's apply. Hey, Cheryl. How are you? Yes, you can always, Joni's saying you can always rearrange. Absolutely. You can make these really, really unique to you, the design. And move this over. Yeah, and I'm going to add, after a little bit of leaf down here, I can see where I chopped that leaf a little close. So I'll definitely be doing that. All right. I'm always trying to get these edges of the flowers in. Okay, so here we go. Now I just have to find the tool. You use this plastic, I call it an embossing stick, and you just rub the design on, right? Emboss. What's the word for it? Joni, what do we say? And when you're doing a piece of furniture, this can be a workout, let me tell you. Now, it will be interesting to see what happens to this middle part that doesn't have, it's not going to get, you know, put on because that's the middle of the frame. So we'll see what happens to that. Hopefully it'll stay on the plastic and I'll be able to use it for another project. And you do have to be organized. I don't know why when I'm doing stuff like this, I go from one spot to another spot to another spot. Don't be like me. Do as I say, not as I do. Because what happens then is you forget, did I work on that area yet? Is it done? You can lift a little and see how it's coming out. So I really, really work on my my being systematic and organized when I'm putting on a transfer. And it's a challenge for me, for sure. All right, let's see how it's coming out. Looks good. See, I missed a little tiny bit of the top of this flower. It's still on the transfer. So you just go back, rub that some more, and there it is, it's on. And that's why, Joni, do you test yours a lot? Plastics, Joni's saying she calls this a plastic stick. She's not fancy like me. Joni, you are you're just naturally fancy. I just know there's a name for something like this, you know? There's like some kind of official name. Oh, Joni makes me laugh, I tell ya. Oh, man. Joni and I and Tammy from Flippin' Furniture were talking about having a creative, like a furniture painters retreat or a decorative painters retreat. And I just know if and when we do it, a rubbing stick. That's right, it's a rubbing stick. This is your official rubbing stick. But I know if and when we do a painter's retreat, it's going to be so much fun because we're going to be laughing. Because everybody has such a great sense of humor. Maybe it's a creative thing, right? Crafters, painters, creators. You have to have a sense of humor doing this because if you're too serious, your work is going to look very, very serious. And nobody wants that, you know? You don't want it to be too kind of stiff. All right, let's see how I'm doing. Hey, Linda. Good morning. Have a happy creating day. I love that. All right, let's see. Again, I missed the tip of a bud, so I'm just going to get that. Oop, another edge here. Let's see. Well, you know what's happening right in the middle, right? That looks cool. You could see through it. The transfer is kind of being dragged off the plastic. So we'll see if I can save that. I don't know if I'm going to be able to. It kind of wants to stick right to the middle. Maybe if I do this. Like kind of get around that edge. Nope. Oop, little egg tops of my leaves. One more little spot. And right there. All right. Beautiful, right? Now what I'm going to do, because this is all kind of sticking off here. Hey, Brenda, how are you? An X-Acto. Yep. Brenda. You're right. Brenda always comes up with these very practical, common sense things. What I should have done when I had this on here, right, is turn it over like this and gone around with an X-Acto blade. Brenda, thank you. Now I'll know for next time, right? Oh, I should have thought, oh, Brenda, where were you? I'm going to have to consult with Brenda before I do these projects. But here it is. And then what I'm going to do is just roll these. See how these are just kind of hanging off? So I'm just going to kind of roll these around. I put that plastic over and rub that on. Same with all these. Just have them going around the edge. And let's see, any other ones right here. You have to really carefully kind of look. Like this little petal right up here is just very, very slightly going around that edge. And that looks like it. Now, for these, I'm just going to press this down. Just kind of move those right around that little edge there. And then I'm going to do the same thing, and I'm going to get my plastic and just fit it in there, just so I know that those are really down well. Now, Joni, oh, shucks. Brenda, you know, I have to say, I always thought I had common sense, but when I miss something like that, I have got a little jar full of X-Acto blades because I use them a lot. It's like, why didn't I think of that, you know? And that's just really smart, practical thinking, Brenda. All right, so there it is. Now, Joni, tell me what you love to finish these with. Look at that. Isn't that absolutely gorgeous? Oh, my God. So we went from this, my little Goodwill find for $2.99 to this. Beautiful. Oh, and I forgot about my little bud. Shannon's saying her crazy self would still be trying to save the piece off the back, hanging off the back. Oh, Shannon, if I were alone and I wasn't doing a live, you have no idea. I'd be like, oh my God, how am I going to save this? Because I could use those scraps. And then Joni's like, you could put a picture of Tammy and me in there. Hey, that would be gorgeous. I love that. My pals. Right in there. That would be beautiful for like a BFFF, you know, print. It's the wraparound look, absolutely. And it goes right in there, right along the sides, absolutely. And doing something like this before you start like a big piece of furniture or a large project really gets you used to the transfers along with the kind of paint that you use and all of that. Oh, Brenda. Hi to Mom. Have a great day today, Brenda. Thanks for joining and thanks for your practical thinking. So, Joni, what do you like to finish these with? I watch Joni, and I'm usually, you know, so involved with what she's saying and, you know, laughing and stuff that I don't get all those little details. All right, where should we put? Maybe down. And this is what I like to do too. You could kind of move this around like that. Oh, that looks pretty. I like that. And we're just layering the transfer. Really simple. Let's see if I could get this. Perfect. Look at that. Ah, Joni's saying, she says, I know you don't like polyacrylic, but that's what I seal it with. Well, I do tend to be a purist. Joni knows me well. I love waxes, and I use wax a lot. For something like this, a matte varnish, a matte poly would be really nice, right, Joni? And that way you could clean it. It would hold up well for sure. I also do this. I like to, you really should use your, oh, don't use that one. I've got a little bit of an image left there, Shannon, say that I can still use. But I do like to kind of go back over and make sure this is really down. And there it is. How beautiful is that? So I think what I'm going to do with this is try the poly, a matte poly. I have mud paint matte varnish. So I will do that for sure. But look at how beautiful that is. I really love this. I love this transfer so much. What did I do with the whole, oh, I turned it over. Right, Joni, this is just one of my absolute hands down favorites. This and the etymology with all the bugs and things, it's beautiful. I think my challenge is going to be for Friday. So today's Wednesday. I'm going to come up with some kind of project for Marie. I'm going to call her Marie Antoinette. And it might involve some molds because you've got to get really fancy with that, right? And I love fancy for sure. So that is it today, you guys. Let me put this on something dark so you could see it. How gorgeous is that? And this is another thing that I think would be a great gift. And like Joni said, putting a picture of her and Tammy. Tammy's from Flippin' Furniture. Joni, of course, is Weathered Wings, my pals. But having their picture in there, or giving somebody a picture of you together, right? Maybe a best girlfriend and you have a beautiful picture of the two of you. That would be a really nice gift for sure. All right, and very fancy. Joni, Shannon, I know Brenda had to go. Debbie, thanks for joining me today. Was there, who else was over here? There was another name. Linda. Thank you so much for joining me today. Have a wonderful day. Any questions, as I always say, please ask in the comments and I will do my best to answer them. Oh, Shannon, thank you. Kath, oh boy, we have somebody from Australia. Hey, Kath, thanks for joining us. Oh, recommended by Joni. Thank you, Joni. I appreciate that. Kath, what time is it in Australia? Is it even Wednesday? It might be Thursday. Oh, and yeah, Shannon, this would be a really nice Mother's Day gift. You put this in a basket with some really pretty soaps, you know, different things like that, lotions. It would be gorgeous for sure. Thanks, you guys, for joining. And Kath, all the way from Australia. That's amazing. I have a feeling it's like early Thursday morning, you know? And thanks, Linda. I'm so glad you liked that. Everybody, again, any questions, please ask me. Thanks so much for joining me, you guys. And have a wonderful, creative day today. And I will see you in a couple of days on Friday. All right.